Hey everybody, welcome to another YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about upgrading the EA888 engine on our Golf 7.5R. We're obviously taking this to the next level now. We've done a couple of videos on hybrid turbos and a couple of things relating to the EA888 MQB platform. And what we want to basically do today is go to the next level. Now we want to take this engine to a forged state, but at the same time we want to go over cylinder head porting, where are some of the Achilles heels of this engine. We want to go over what we've done to a turbine housing in terms of CNC porting the turbine housing inlet to match up to the exhaust ports that we've gone and modified. And then we're going to talk about some of the shortcomings inside of the motor, where VW have used magnesium bolts to hold critical components like tensioners to the block. Really silly in my mind. And the upper sump to the bottom of the block, once again magnesium bolts, and certain things that you can't reuse when you disassemble the engine to obviously forge the motor. So what I'm going to do is just go into a bunch of things, and there's a lot of information in this specific video. It's going to be a long one again, guys, so if you don't want to watch this video and you don't want to watch a half an hour video, hit next or skip or whatever the case is. But this has got a lot of factual, in-depth technical information about the engine itself. You'll see videos on how we've done, or should I say photographs of how we've done, and the tools we've used to set up timing on these engines, and you'll see the internal components we use, the conrods that we use, the choice of pistons we use, etc, etc. Anyway, let's get to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you don't mind, like, subscribe, give us some comments, interact with us at the bottom in the description below, and let's see how we can improve and add to whatever videos you guys want to see. Let's get moving. doing a trial cut on a piece of modeling block so we can get an idea of the porting that we need for the turbine housing and the cylinder heads. EA888. This is a piece of polyurethane with a very similar consistency to what you'll find in aluminium. And we're going to be doing the porting, check the dimensions, double check our work, and then we're going to load a cylinder head and a turbine housing where we can then obviously CNC port and match those two ports on the head as well as the housing together. And then we'll obviously install and get onto the dyno and see what sort of changes, what sort of benefits, what sort of spool response and obviously output power we can get with the same map, same boost, same tune, same turbo, same hardware, and give us a bit of eyes into exactly where, what, how the actual porting will take us. Should be coming up to do the second one now. There we go. Second port. Really soft material, so we're going to speed this up. Let's go a bit faster. Taking 1 mil cuts, obviously that's what we're going to be doing on the alley as well as on the stainless. But for now we can probably take a 5 mil cut and it won't make a difference. The material's really soft. But so far so good. We're going to measure the dimensions, take a gasket and have a look and see what the results are. TurboDirect. So once this is done, we'll match the gaskets and we'll have a look and see, take some pictures and show you what the result is from there and how everything marries up. Alrighty, there's the gasket with the CNC machining stage 1 or step 1. So the porting is exactly the same as the gaskets opening. That's beautiful. Now for step 2. Stage 2 or step 2. We've gone and done. You'll see the little step over there. We've gone and created a slight modification to the inside of the housing just to improve flow and prevent eddies. This is going to be a 5-step operation. This is 2 of 5. 3 more steps to come before we are finished with the CNC porting of this turbine housing. So step 3, step 4. So from that second step, so 4th step there to the final, there's some more work we're going to be doing, which will finalize that ball, and then we'll be ready to install. Drilled a couple of holes into the head on a EA888, a 2-litre TFSR. We've gone into the side about 7 mils down, and about 15 mils across into the top port over there. We've also drilled all the way through into that gallery there, and the wall thickness is 7 mils. So clearly, safely, you can do a 3 mil circumference port around without having any issues. We've done the same on the bottom over here. There's the first hole that we've done over there. There's one over here, which is about 6 mils. That's about 5 or 6 mils as well. We've gone into the top and we've drilled into the side, and we haven't hit water ports yet. So there's definitely room for improvement in terms of porting these heads. I'm going to put an old gasket on here, a used gasket, so that I can just get a clearer idea of where we want to do what. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to port this head and open up these ports in line with where the gasket begins, and I'll show you guys a video afterwards. There we are. You can see the gap between the gasket and the actual port versus the one that we've just gone and worked a little bit. I'm not finished with it yet, but on the inside we've taken out a little corner over there. There's a bit of a corner radius right there that we need to take out as well, just to increase the flow. Just going to cut that corner off and have a look at the overall port size at the bottom in comparison to the top. We've left a little bit over here, about 2 mils around the edges. You can still go a little bit more. The bottom, it's very close to the gasket. The sides are pretty good, but there we can still take off a bit at the top. However, if you look at the design of the port on top, there isn't much to be gained there. So, I don't really want to go that far. But taking out that corner on the inside there will alleviate some more flow and some more back pressure, and then there we go.
Since when has impossible ever stopped you? Friday's disappointment, your Sunday's empty too. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise, make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Yeah.
Hey everybody, okay, so we've gone over the engine removal, the disassembly. We didn't show you much about the inspection of all the components before we reassembled everything. We went over the CNC machining of the turbine housing as well as the porting of the cylinder head. We didn't show you the final result of the cylinder head. Nonetheless, we showed you the complete assembly, and what I'd like to share with you now is there are a number of magnesium bolts that hold your upper sump. So you have a plastic sump and you have an aluminium brace, which is also known as the upper sump, which basically attaches to the bottom of your cast iron block. Those are held in place with magnesium bolts that break, throw them away. Yes, magnesium has got a great vibration damping property, however they are not strong. The tensile strength is not very good, so we chuck them away and we replace them with stainless steel button heads and stainless steel cap screws, as well as the bolts that hold the tensioner, the plastic sump on the plastic splash tray inside of the plastic sump, and various other issues like your cam box. There's various other components around the engine that are held on with or fastened with magnesium bolts. Throw them away, chuck them away, get yourself stainless cap screws or stainless button heads or hex heads or whatever the case might be, and use those. Much more reliable, much stronger, much better ductility. You can reuse them as well. Do not reuse your head bolts, they do stretch, so if you want you can actually take a new M10 or M8 or whatever bolt that you suspect has stretched, and you can lay the threads across each other. It's a rudimentary way of checking whether or not they've stretched, and you'll actually see that the threads don't line up 100%, they'll actually pull out from one another. In that case, don't reuse a head bolt. If you don't have ARPs, which aren't really required, we've got cars running about 500, 550 wheel horsepower without any issues on stock VW head bolts. You can use new head bolts, or you can go and get yourself ARPs. Part number is 2404302. For those of you that want to know. Obviously we're using rod bolts. Main studs or main bolts, we've got new ones from VW. They're good enough. And we replaced bearings. We used KS bearings for both the mains and the big ends. You're going to have to use plastic gauge and just double check and make sure that you size those correctly, because they are color coded from VW, the original main bearings at least. And then there's a couple of other tricks that you need to know as well. So when you put your tappet cover or your cam brace back on, you don't have separate cam braces or cam caps which hold your cams into the head. The actual cam cover or tappet cover is actually your cam caps. You cannot use normal silicone. Do not use a normal sealant. You must use, you will seize your cams. You need to use the VW green sealant. It's quite expensive, but you'll be able to do 5 plus minus 4 or 5 engines with the tube. You saw a picture of the actual green lining, and you can go crazy with the stuff. You can overuse. You can spread it nice and thick so that you make sure you get a proper seal. Don't stress, when it comes into contact with water or oil, it dissolves and it will not block oil galleries, etc. So it doesn't matter if you apply too much. Apply a generous amount. If you use normal silicone, you will have a cam failure. Do not use normal silicone on the cam cover or the tappet cover as we know it here in South Africa. Other than that, it's pretty much rudimentary. Set your timing. Timing's quite complicated for those of you who have never done it before. Invest in getting the right tools. Set up TDC with a dial gauge like you saw in the pictures. Get the cam locking tools so that you don't make a mistake. Check, double check, triple check. When you have set the timing and you release the tensioner, turn the engine over. You'll have to turn it over about 35, 40 times to get those cam marks to line up again after one cycle. So make sure, do it twice, do it 3 times before you start the engine, because when that VVT and VVL is activated and your cam timing is slightly out, goodbye engine. So those are some of the tips and tricks. It's not all of them, but those are some of the tips and tricks that you guys must be careful of, and obviously take heed of when building an engine, forging an engine. We've got approximately 600-700 Ks on this engine at the moment. It's not running yet. Once it is, we'll be putting it back onto the dyno without doing any tuning whatsoever, just to see what the benefits of the porting of the cylinder head and turbine housing are. So that's basically that for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and subscribe, like, comment down below. See you next time.